if I wanted to be really poor or really unsuccessful in life, what would I do? He's like, well, I would definitely get addicted to chemicals, right?
What's up, Drake?
It's so logical and like obvious to us, but still use that stuff on a regular basis to alter our mood because we can't cope with some of the issues that are coming up in our lives. And he's like, I can't imagine.
What's up, Dream Team?
This
is day 3.
My life is so much better now that because I do drugs and because I drink. And I'm not saying that, that's a judgment in any way. It's just one of the principles that he's found to be a successful trait for himself and others. Number 3, envy. So one of the things that's been a gift for Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger together is this statement that they made, both of them being, super billionaires. And they said, every single year, someone is doing better than us. And for me, that was so gut-wrenching is the wrong word, but that hit me because I think I am innately so competitive that I suffer from comparison all the time. I was actually texting a friend this morning who's also a multi-billionaire, billionaire, and he was saying,
he was texting me,
like the more money I make, the poorer I feel. And it's totally true because what ends up happening is that your measuring stick changes. I remember, when I was really, really young, my measuring stick for money was Chipotle burritos. It was just how many Chipotle burritos does this amount of money equate to? And so I actually think that we have like a stick or a unit that becomes our base unit when we're measuring wealth for ourselves. And that's why when I think I had $100,000 in my bank account, that was probably the wealthiest I have ever felt because I had, proportional to what my measuring stick was, which at that time was still meals, $100,000 was so much money, so many of those units. At this point in my life, $1 million is kind of my measuring unit that I use as a base unit for how many of these do I have in this? How many sticks do I have in real estate? How many sticks do I have in my portfolio? How much do I have in equity in these companies, etc. And so that stick changes, but someone is always doing better. But I think it's so much more about not thinking about them because the way that they roll the dice and play the game has no effect on us. And so simply it's an imaginary way to make yourself suffer. So if you want to suffer, definitely be envious of people. The 4th one was definitely resent people. Like really hold on to resentment if you want to be miserable. And so one of the stories that Charlie tells is a king who trying to not be resentful of people, what he would do is every time he'd want to resent someone, he'd write their name down and he'd put it on a slip of paper in a drawer. And periodically he'd go to that drawer, open it up and read the names and realize how life had dealt with those people without him having to do anything. And so I think it's one of those long-term mindedness that most people live in karmic balance, independent of whether or not you believe in that kind of woo-woo stuff, but simply people who do bad things, eventually that catches up to them and it is worse for them. And so someone who exists in that state is already dealing with the suffering of being who they are. And so, if you want to be miserable, definitely resent people.
Principles for Success, an ultra mini-series adventure in 30 minutes within 8 episodes.
The next one is be unreliable, right? If you want to definitely be miserable, be unreliable. Say you're going to do something and don't do it. Say you're going to be somewhere and be late. Be flaky. Make commitments that you don't keep. And this one is one of those ones that he references a lot of times as, he's like, if you just get this one right and you are reliable, it's very difficult to be miserable. It's very difficult to be unsuccessful. And there was a guy that I knew in high school, and this is when I had a bigger ego than I have now. And I was such a dick. I was just, there's no other way to say it, I just was. And this kid was just he went to all the extra credit for teachers. He worked so hard, and he had nothing going for him. He wasn't the best looking kid, he wasn't athletic, he didn't have this natural processing power, he wasn't quick like that. But I remember, and I was such a mean guy to this kid, and I remember one time we got in some sort of spat, and I was like, in what world will you ever be better than me at anything? And I remember saying that, you can feel it so dripped in ego, and it's just kind of disgusting. But anyways, I said this to him, and he ended up getting into a better college than me. I ended up going to Vanderbilt, he ended up going to Duke. And I just remembered that moment because it was such a deep lesson for me that he was more reliable than I was. He was more long-suffering than I was. He was more consistent than I was. He showed up to every teacher's thing. He showed up, he did all the extra credit, he did all the homework, he did all those things, and he just showed up. And that was a huge lesson for me that I was like, if I could just show up like that guy does, man, things will open up for me. But if you want to fail, definitely be unreliable. The next one is overspend your income. You know, definitely if you want to put yourself in a horrible situation on a regular basis and consistently have stress, definitely spend more than you make, which, you know, America is doing right now with their own GDP, but we won't even get into that. But definitely overspend what you make. Like, don't save, you know, spend more than what you have, always have bigger aspirations than you have the ability to fulfill on, and definitely always live in debt. And the wrong kind of debt, the bad debt. And so, if you've followed any of my stuff, I'm a huge proponent of living broke all the time. And it's because I believe wealth is a ratio between income and expenses. It's not a number, right? If you can live on 1% of what you make, as a hypothetical example, then you are infinitely wealthy because you already have 100 times more. Your income is 100 times more than your expenses, which means you can live veritably for 100 years. And so just on 1 year's income. So that's an extreme example just to illustrate the point. But if you, like, for me, I feel less and less anxiety.
Why?
The greater the percentages of access I have versus how I live. And so there's two ways to get there. One is you can increase how much you make. The other way is you can decrease how much you spend.
I'm just
the
kidding.
Thing is no matter where you are right now,
I'll do 10 more.
Is how much you spend. Over time, you can use those extra funds, invest in yourself, grow the top line so that you
I've
can
used
make
count,
that
so
strategy crazier.
I really hope that one of you
Increase that ratio.
actually goes through the videos and counts them out for
And so
me.
for me, I try and live on 10%. That $100,000
That'd be nice.
story that I gave you earlier. Once I was
Watch
I
me,
had $1 million in my
watch
bank
me,
account,
watch
I
me
still
be
lived
cheating
on
you guys.
$30,000 a year. And so I was, you know, I was living.
If
on
someone goes to the videos and finds that I've been cheating them, I will make them up times 20.
So I was living on 3%.
So for every one I missed, that's 20.
Because I just knew that I had way more money than I would ever need. That's very freeing. So, but if you want to fail, definitely overspend your income. The next one is learn only from your own mistakes, right? Don't learn from the mistakes of others. Don't learn from other people's
I believe I'm at
successes.
75.
And what I want to add as a wrinkle to this.
Now
is
watch.
that depending on
Watch
where
me
you're
be
at,
doing more and not
this is what
counting them
I've
right.
observed is, you in the very, very beginning, you have no value to offer. I get messages frequently of people being like, "Hey, let's start a business together. I'll give you half." And I'm like, "Well, you're providing no value. I'm the one who would know how to run this business, so this is not a good trade for me."
Right?
You know, return on my time is not very good. Another one is, "Hey, I'll work with you. You know, I'll work for you for free. You know, if you teach me everything." And I was like,
What if
"Yeah,
there's like a
that's, so
snob
I'm
who
getting someone
who's
who has
watching
no
you and
skills
they're
and
like,
no
that's not
value.
even a good
In
put
exchange,
there.
you're getting an education
Ooh.
from someone.
Let me see you do 100 push-ups.
That's not a good exchange for me, right?
And
So
I don't know, let me see how much time. I think I've been beating 115 minutes, so it's like 13 minutes. So,
that level of skill is ahead of you.
and it's all right. I mean, it's
Businesses,
I'll get to doing them perfect, and I'll get to the point where I'm
that's not a very big business.
doing more than just 100.
If you say I will work
I mean, I gotta start doing push-ups and less
someone
talking.
like that could still use, for lack of a better term, just hands, right?
Do
Someone
you
who
ever
can
do
help
extra
you
ones
be
just in
there as a
case,
body.
or no?
And I know that may sound diminutive towards you, but if you have no base skills, that is your base skill that you have is your time in your hands, right? And so you use that, and then you can learn some more skills.
No, actually,
You develop the next
I think I do
and
myself.
start affording coaches.
So I think I
from the level above that,
don't count them
you
out,
say
right?
learning only from your own mistakes. First is you learn from people for free by exchanging your time. Then you learn from
You know what I mean?
coaches. Then
So
you
I think
learn
I
from
get 'em-
masterminds with people
I
who
do
are
more than what I
equal
think
to
I do.
people in the room
I think.
who are good. And what I will tell you is this: if you're
And I never try to, because it's just me cheating myself, you know.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
as you go up this journey, how you network and learn from others changes, it evolves. And you know, I went the coach route for the first 3-4 years of my entrepreneurial journey, and then it was much more towards the mastermind route later on. But the thing is once we pass 8 figures for us in terms of yearly revenue and yearly income, it's shifted to being much more about networking and advisors. So it's kind of two different things. Networking is like other people who are at that level that you just network with and you meet at things and you donate to some charities, that kind of thing. And the other aspect is like, well, if you want something ahead of you at that point,
That's 100 right there.
and you can still get it from the network sometimes. But
I think.
if you really want to get a lot from someone, you need to make sure that there's some sort of exchange that's fair. And that's
I'm
where
just gonna
kind
do
of
5 more
advisory
just
relationships work really
for the
well.
hater in the
So
back, I guess.
They get a minority percentage in something that you guys are working on. And so they have an incentive to teach you some of these elements. And you at this point, you're already proven as an effective person. You have the character traits of being reliable, not being envious, having long suffering, having the abilities to.
That's it.
So they know that they can just drop the information.